So the next type of bot that we will see is a smart bot. Now that is a different solution.
Hey, Janvi,
Yeah,
sorry,
please
just
go ahead.
just a quick question, actually, not regarding universal bots,
Mm-hmm.
regarding traits.
Yeah, sure.
The trait ending is separate. It's not an intent detection engine per se, but does it have the
Mm-hmm.
same dynamics as the ML engine that's being used for the intent detection?
It actually has the same. It is a combination of the ML and the FM engine, actually, but it may not be. You do not specify all those n grams and all those things for the trait engine. But when you are training the trait engine, you can say what approach you want to take, whether you want to train it with ML like utterances, or you want to train it with patterns. Okay, so both of it is supported by the traits engine. So you can select any one of those approaches. But yeah, you do not have any other configuration pattern configurations available for the trait engine other than specifying what you want to, how you want to train it, either with utterances or with patterns. That's all.
Okay.
And what it does it, if any one of those utterances are present in the phrases are present in the user utterance, or if a pattern matches, because you have seen the trait engine gets into work right at the starting. Okay, so that is the first one which matches, and it will see that whether the utterance of the user matches with the training that has been provided. So if those utterances are present in the user's utterance, if those phrases are present in the user utterance, or the pattern which you have provided for a particular trait that matches with the utterance of the user, then that trait is identified, and the rule that you have defined for the trait comes into action. So in the rule you say what is the task to be triggered if that trait is identified. So that is how the trait engine works. Okay.
Understood. Thanks, Dan.
Okay, so the next type of bot that we will create is a the next type of bot that we will create is a smart bot over here. So we have seen what is a standard bot. We have seen what is a universal bot. Now let's say as a developer, you want to build a bot which will be a solution to other teams in your enterprise, or maybe to other teams which are located globally. They can inherit from this particular configuration, uh, have a child bot. In that child bot, they can make their own changes if required, and then deploy the bot to the end users. So that is what we call it, a smart bot solution. So you are providing a solution from where other developers, other teams can inherit, create a child bot with the same configuration. Once the child bot is created, they can deploy that child bot to the end users, or if required, they can make minor changes in the configuration of the child bot and deploy it to the end user. So this actually quickens the bot building stage. That is, everybody doesn't need to build a bot right from the scratch if basic functionality of the bot is the same. But here and there are little minor changes in the configuration. Maybe the policies are a little different, or the KG is a little different. The tasks remain the same. The KG is a little different. The response of a particular FAQs might change depending on the region in which that FAQ is asked. So instead of building the bot right from the starting, you are creating a solution from where it can be inherited. Changes can be made in this inherited version, and then the bot can be deployed to the end user. So this kind of a scenario we can provide through a smart bot. So let's see how we can create a smart bot and create a child bot out of that smart bot. So give a name to your smart bot. Okay, and select the bot type as a smart bot over here. Click on create. So that starts off with the creation of a smart bot. You will see the configuration of a smart bot is just the same as the configuration of a standard bot. There's nothing other than that you have mentioned it as a smart bot. Okay, which means that this bot can be inherited into some child bot. Now I'll show you what is the difference between inheriting it and exporting a bot. Now you can, this is the first question that comes, why should I create a smart bot? when it is the same as a standard bot, because I could have exported the standard bot to somebody else. He could have imported it within his environment, made changes and deploy it. So that way also I can share the configuration instead of creating a smart bot. But there are some advantages when it comes to smart bot. Now let me quickly create two tasks inside it so that I can show you all what are the advantages in the smart bot. So we click on creating a new task. So you will see the entire configuration is the same. You can create knowledge task, you can have alert task, you can have digital views, which we'll see tomorrow. What is a digital view and all. So I'm going to create just two small tasks over here. Let's say task one, which is a very bad intent to name actually. You shouldn't name an intent as task one, task two, but still I'm just doing it here. And I just have a message node here saying you are in task one. I'll just quickly create two tasks over here. You can do the entire configuration, right? Because it is just the same like standard bot. So whatever you define the task flow, you can do that. I'm just doing for convenience. I'm just doing two simple tasks over here.
Uh, Gandhi, in the practical situation in the industry, is it a practice to always use smart bots and then customize it using standard bots, like sort of governance policies and best practices are built into the smart bots, and then you extend them and build the standard bots. Is
Yeah,
that a
that is a
practice?
very, yeah, it is a very good practice if like see, if it is just a standalone bot, you are sure that there will be no changes. Everywhere that you implement that bot, it will be the same functionality. Fine, build a standard bot. But if you see that there is a possibility that the bot you have built will be used in different regions, and there might be small changes in the configuration of the bot depending on the region where it is implemented. So in those situations, instead of building standard bot, exporting that, importing, creating a new bot in your other region, making changes, you can create a smart bot, and you can inherit from the smart bot. The advantage for a smart bot is that is why I'm defining two tasks over here. You will see for a task which has not been changed in the child bot, any changes in the configuration of that task in the smart bot will be reflected automatically in the child bot. So there is a link that is maintained. And if that particular task is not made any changes, you are not making any configuration changes in the child bot, then changes in the configuration of the task in the parent bot will automatically be reflected. Now, this is not possible if you are going in for a standard bot and you are exporting that bot and importing it somewhere else. In
Of
that
course, this
situation,
applies to bots in development, right? Not the published ones.
both the places I will show you. You can select where you want it to affect, whether you want it to affect the published version or you want it to affect the in development version. So that you can, as a developer, you can select that, okay, when you are inheriting into a child bot. Okay,
Okay.
let me show you all those configuration how you can do it. Okay, so something like this, a very simple configuration. You can do all your configuration here. You can create your knowledge task. You can, have your small talk and everything configured here. You can do your NLP training. So you get all your options of NLP training coming up over here, and you can enable channels and everything. Before you publish a particular smart bot, okay, so let me just quickly enable a channel, because without a channel you cannot publish a bot on our platform. So I just select the web mobile client and select an app and click on save. So I just add a channel over here. But before you can publish your bot, come to settings, come to config settings over here, and inside config settings there are certain things that you need to specify for a smart bot. So select config settings and you will see there is something called smart bot settings. Okay, so this is something you need to configure specially for a smart bot. I'm just going to create a global variable over here, though I'm not using it anywhere, but let's say I'm using a global variable. So when you are defining a global variable, you have a setup option that is either pre-populated, hidden, or ask on install. So this is not there for the standard bots when you define global variables inside it. Pre-populated means when a child bot is created out of a smart bot, this global variable will be created in the child bot with the value that has been provided in your smart bot. Okay, so this value will be used in the variable in the child bot, but developers can change this value in the child bot. So the child bot gets created with a global variable called X with a value of 20. But if required, developers can change that value in the child bot as well. Okay. Hidden means the variable will be created with a value of 20 in the child bot, but developers will not be able to change that value in the child bot. So it is a static value that gets created. Okay. Ask on install, while creating the child bot, developers can specify the value of this global variable. Okay, so they can keep it as it is and then make changes from within the child bot, or they can specify a new value for this global variable when they are installing the smart bot. That means they are creating a child bot out of this smart bot. So let's say I click on ask on install and I click on save. The next setting that you need to do now, this is only if you have global variables in your smart bot. The next is the smart bot setting that we have. So put a description over here for the smart bot. Okay, so now enable a try mode. So do you want to allow developer authorization or something like that? If you want some authorization before a developer can inherit or install a smart bot, that you can do it from here. But I'm not doing anything like that. Smart bot description. So add a description for the smart bot. Configuration instructions. Okay, so if you have some steps in the configuration, you tell the developer who is installing from a smart bot that these are the things you need to do. These are the variables for which you need to provide a value before you can install the smart bot. So those things you can provide in the configuration instruction. If the instructions are a part of a PDF, you can upload that PDF, or if you have a website with all the instructions, you can provide an URL of that particular website. Okay, I just put something like this, but actually you should be providing a detailed instruction of what is that smart bot about, what are the variables that the developer needs to provide a value for before installing that smart bot. Okay, now once you are done with that, click on save to save this particular configuration. Okay, and then you can publish your smart bot. Unless and until you publish your smart bot, you cannot create a child bot out of it. Okay, so just publish your smart bot, and once the smart bot has been published, we can install the smart bot. Okay, so installing the smart bot means you create another child bot out of the smart bot. So you come to home, the landing page, you see the smart bot has been created over here. Okay, now if you want to install the smart bot into your local system or something, click on this down arrow key and you have install smart bot. Click on this and come and select the bot. Okay, so if the smart bot is published, you will see the name of the bot comes up over here. Click on install to start the installation of the smart bot. Now, when you are installing, your install instructions will come up over here depending on what you have given in that instructions section in your smart bot. Then comes up the bot setting where you can change the name of the bot. This is a default name given from the platform end, but you can provide a name of your own. Okay. If you want the generic icon, that is, if the smart bot has a particular icon and you want to use the same icon in your child bot, you can have this generic bot icon on. Or if you want your own icon for the child bot, you can enable that as well. Okay, and then you can select the file for the icon. And here is where you can control the updates. Okay, so define how bot definition updates from parent bot should be copied to this bot. Okay, so add bot definition updates directly to published version. So if a task is in the published version, it should any updates of that task in the parent bot should directly go and update the published version of that particular task in the inherited bot or in the child bot. You can have this on. But if you don't want that to happen, if you want the changes should be only affecting the in development version of a task in the child bot, then make sure you have the second option on. Okay, and then finally you have the bot setup variable. So we had the setting as ask on installation. So at the time of installing, it is asking for the value of this particular variable. So let's change the value to 30 or something like that. Okay, and click on done. So now you will see a child bot. One second. Okay, so maybe the name or something is different. Okay, my child bot got created. That was an error that was coming up. Okay, so you can see over here the child bot got created. There was a problem with the name, I guess, that I was giving. So that is why it was showing an error. So the bot name has been taken by default, the default name. It did not allow me to give the name that I had wanted. There was a problem maybe with the name of the bot, but you can see the tasks has been configured over here. You can see the channel has been added depending on the channel that got inherited, and the rest of the configurations will remain the same as they are in the parent bot. Now let's say you come to the bot tasks and you will see these tasks are in a locked status. That means these tasks has been inherited from the parent bot. So you can see the status of these tasks are viewed. So if you click on this, you will see, you get to see the configuration of the task in the read-only mode. You cannot make any changes to these tasks in the child bot. Okay, so you just get to see the task in the configuration. But let me just inherit it once again. Okay, the bot did not get set up properly. why it is not. I have to check it out with the platform, but actually it will go in for setting it up. Okay, let me see. There's some problem with the platform, but let me show you with some existing bot if I have, where I can show you a smart bot. One second. Okay, let me just try this. That is not working. I need to check out why this is not working properly, because unless and until it is set up correctly, it will not allow me to make changes to the bot task configuration. So let me continue with this topic tomorrow when we can see what is going wrong over here. Okay, so actually what you should be getting is a setup, a configuration button coming up, on which clicking on which you can make changes to the configuration of the task in your child bot. Okay, so that should be allowed from the smart bot, but it is not happening here. One second. It is not happening here. There's something wrong with the platform. I need to check it and I'll show it to you all once again tomorrow. But what happens is that once you install a smart bot, then for the child tasks, for the bot in the for the tasks in the child bot, by default they are in the read-only view. So once you unlock that and you make changes to the configuration of a particular task, you will see if changes are made in the same task in the parent bot, it will not affect the child bot because that link is broken. But if a task is still in the locked stage, that means you have not made any changes to the configuration of that particular task in the child bot, and depending on your preference of how you want the changes of the parent bot to affect the child bot, you will see if you make changes to the task configuration in your smart bot, that will be reflected in your child bot. Okay, so right now I can see our platform is not taking that. I need to check out why this is not happening, because by default this should be, it's a very straightforward kind of a configuration. You don't need to do much configurations here. The rest of the configuration of a smart bot is just like a particular standard bot. All you need to do is enable a channel. Now, because without that you cannot publish the bot, and you go to settings, you come to config settings, and you need to provide the details of the config settings. So this is only where your smart bot is a little different from your standard bot. And the next is you can inherit the smart bot within child bots. Okay, so these are the different changes that you have, but other than that it is pretty much simple. Somehow our platform is not trying. Okay, let me try this. One second. By default this is not required, but let me see. So there is some problem with the platform in which is not allowing me to do it. No, there's some problem with our platform. I'll check this out and I'll show it to you all once again tomorrow. I need to check out with the platform. Okay, so that is a different type of bot that you can create. These are all the types of bot, and sample bots once again are same as standard bots. It's only just you can once again install a sample bot, but sample bots are totally read only. You cannot make any changes in the sample bot. But you can, as a developer, you can see how the sample bot has been configured, and then create your own bots. And these sample bots will be available in our bot store for all the developers of that particular enterprise, who can download those bots, look into the configuration, and create their own bot. So that is the purpose of a sample bot. So these are the different bots that you can build on our platform. Any questions still here? Sorry, I couldn't show you all the smart bot, but I'll show it to you all tomorrow. I need to check with our platform team what is going wrong over here. Any other questions that you all have on this?
Yes, Jayant, a quick question. The smart bot, unless it is published, we will not be able to install it, right?
No, it will not come up only. In that install smartbot option, you will not get to see the name of that smartbot coming up. So you have to publish it first, and then only you can install it and create a child bot out of it. Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Any other question? Okay, so
yeah, Jayanti,
yeah.
You said that you have a completely trained model for sentiment analysis and you can't make any changes to that model. But in the case of trait engine or the machine learning engine, are you using any pre-trained models or as such, or is it
No.
being trained only on the things that we are giving it?
No. Machine learning, trait engine, these are not pre-trained. Sentiment analysis, our NLP has been pre-trained with some phrases which will tell the NLP engine a particular sentiment. So that is why you could see that when I was saying certain things, a particular sentiment was getting scored. Depending on the modifiers also, the scale, the score in the scale was, it was changing. That has been trained on the platform end, and that training is available only in a few languages. That is why we say sentiment management is only available, you will see in the English language, in the French, German, Spanish, and Dutch language. Any other language, we do not have sentiment analysis. Okay, but when you are talking about ML engine, or when you are talking about the trait engine, these are not pre-trained, because there's no general training that you can provide for ML engine. The ML training changes depending on the bot that you're designing. Okay, so ML engine is used for intent identification. Those are the training utterances for each of the intents. So when you are saying that my bot contains a task called check balance, so you will provide the training utterances for that particular task. If the bot changes to some other travel bot, or maybe to an HR bot where you have request leave, then the training utterances for that task will change as per the requirement of the bot. So you do not have any predefined thing for the ML engine. Similarly, traits also differ from bot to bot. What are the utterances with respect to that bot? What trait should be identified? What is the task you want to perform? There's no general solution. But if you look at sentiment, that is something general. Okay, irrespective of the bot, if these words are used, the platform should identify a particular sentiment. So that is why we have provided that training internally. But ML, trait, FM engine, all of these needs to be trained by the developer as per the requirement of the bot. Okay.
Okay.
The engines are there, they are going to work. Trait engine doesn't work unless and until you provide some trait, but ML, FM, KG, and ranking and resolver engine will always work.
I actually have one more doubt. Like while training the trait engine, you just defined one trait. So basically, there is only one class, and using that one class, like, do you have any idea how the model is like able to predict a score to it? Because there is only one class in the trait engine. So if there are multiple classes, then
it will match on the utterance, right? Since I have provided over here one trait only, that trait is getting identified because it is matching with these phrases are present in the utterance of the user. Similarly, if you add another trait over here, okay, then you are going to train that trait with some other utterances. Okay, so in that case, the trait engine, if it finds those utterances, it will trigger the other trait. And then you define a rule that if that trait is identified, then what is the task you want to perform?
if
Okay,
I have
so
a very long sentence and if I have just a word error, will the trained engine actually capture that particular thing as a this
yes.
intent that we match to?
Yes, yes. If you have a very long sentence, but in spite of that, if you have the word error, the presence of that tells the trait engine that this is the trait to be identified, and and then it continues with that. Okay.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
yeah, you can try that out and you can see. Okay.
yeah, got it.
Yeah. Any other question related to whatever topics that we have discussed today? Okay, try out these things because this require a little bit more of configuration. Try out the APIs, the traits, the custom dashboards, whatever we have discussed. Tomorrow we will look into context management, where we make sections of FAQ task relevant. By that, what I mean is, let's say you have FAQs which are related to savings account. There are FAQs related to checking account, and you want these FAQs to be available only when the user is opening a savings account type of savings type of an account, or maybe the user is opening a checking account. Then only the questions related to checking account should be available to the bot. Okay, and the bot should respond to those questions. So making tasks or making FAQs context relevant, that we are going to see tomorrow. How to add digital views to your bot, that we'll be seeing tomorrow. How to enable the bot kit, that also we will be seeing tomorrow. So those are the main topics that we will look into in tomorrow's session. Okay, and of course, at the end, I'll show you an overview of the admin platform. Though all developers are not an admin, but still, if you know what are the things that the admin can do, then if required, you can request your admin for performing that task. Okay, so we'll have an overview of the admin platform as well. Okay, so let's continue with this topic tomorrow at the same time. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, you all can mail me your questions and I'll respond back to those questions. So
Hi,
thanks for
one
yeah,
question.
please
This
go
is
ahead.
since I